You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
A monster roller coaster with your brain. Wow, that sounds like something to do. Hi, folks. I'm Chris Voss, the ChrisVossShow.com. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys having me and us and everyone on the show and everyone else out there. And now, a man who thinks he's funny, but he's just an idiot. I'm your host, Chris Voss. Welcome to the show. That's just dumb. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming on. We certainly appreciate you guys. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. We have an amazing author on the show. We're talking about his business. He has a podcast too, as I do. Everyone's into podcasting these days, but only about 1% of people are good at it, and he's good at it. I'm not, but so we're going to find out how to make a podcast work. Also, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. Go to all the places on the interwebs. You know, a real part of being on the Chris Voss Show is part of the family that loves you, doesn't judge you. And we know that's better than what your mom gives you every day when she tells you to clean your room. So, or your wife does. So there you go. Pick up your socks, damn it. Anyway, she paid for that message, by the way. That's an ad on the show. So do that, but refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Put your arm around them this holiday season and say, I'm going to give you the gift that keeps on giving. And by the way, I don't have to pay anything for it. Sign up for the Chris Voss Show and subscribe. It's the best thing for you. It'll make you smarter, prettier, more lovely, and more educated. And everyone knows when you do that, you're more sexy. So you might get some more, sexy love time there from, I don't know, whoever you're dating, whatever. It's your business, not mine. But they are still DMing me. Anyway, guys, on Snapchat. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We're just kind of throwing in every comedy I can come up with here at the second. He is the author of the newest, hottest book that's coming out December 11th, 2022. You can pre-order it right now. House of the Customer, a blueprint for one-to-one, customer-first, employee-driven business transformation. Greg Kihlstrom is on the show with us today. He's going to be talking to his amazing new book and everything that goes into it. He is a best-selling multi-book author, speaker, and entrepreneur, currently an advisor and consultant to top companies on marketing, technology, customer experience, and digital transformation initiates as a principal and chief strategist at GK5A. We'll find out what that means on the show. He's also the host of the Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom podcast. He is a two-time CEO and co-founder, growing both companies organically through acquisitions and ultimately leading to both being acquired, one in 2017 and the other in 2021. He has worked with some of the world's top brands, including Adidas, Choice Hotels, Coca-Cola, Dell, FedEx, HP, Marriott, MTV, Starbucks, Toyota, and VMware. And now he's finally hit the pinnacle of top companies, the Chris Voss Show podcast. Welcome to the show, Greg. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming as well. Quite the ramble we put up today. So there's that. And wow, the Snapchats are coming in. So welcome to the show, Greg. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, sure. So you can go to my website. It's gregkihlstrom.com, and I'm really active on LinkedIn as well. So easy to find me there too.
There you go. So let's lead off with your book. We're going to talk about a few things today. Your book, some of the consulting you do and the work you do. And then also we'll get a plug-in for the podcast because I need to find out how to podcast. I'm still working on mine after 13 years. We're always working to get better. And it's not. Absolutely. So there's that. So House of the Customer. What you've written a lot of books. How many books do you have, by the way, in your library?
Yeah, so this is number 11.
There you go.
So I've written a few, and I just I've been doing a lot of work over the last year with some of the brands that you just mentioned, as well as some others on. I think there's a lot of talk about we need to improve customer experience and we need to personalize things and make things better. And, I think we're all kind of agreed on that premise that that's a good thing when it's done well. And when we treat customers, data with privacy and all those kinds of things. I think what's been lacking to me, and what I always try to do with my books and writing is make it practical. And, you know, I'm not only, I do speaking and I do coaching and all that stuff, but I actually am hands-on and do the work as well. And so, you know, I just try to take insights from what I've done, what I've seen, and what works at organizations, as well as proposing what I think should work. And I took that, did some additional research, talked to a lot of people. Some of those were also guests on my show, and just put it all together. And, you know, it really is a blueprint on how to do this well, how to really provide great personalized customer experience as well.
Awesome sauce. You know, customer service really seems to be lost in today's world, doesn't it? Does it seem like we've, you know, I don't know about you. You seem fairly young. I don't want to throw my age onto you. But, you know, I grew up in the era of In Search of Excellence by Tom Peters. And it was that big customer service revolution time where everybody's like, we're going to do customer service now. You know, they were talking about the Nordstrom tire, you know, stories and things like that. And so I grew up in that whole era of all of that. And it seems like it's so lost now. Like so many companies, you know, like I'll send an email to somebody and they're like, we'll get back to you in 3 days when we care. You know, that sort of thing. And then people are going like, why are we making more money? So there's all of that. So what do you think? Have we lost a lot of that? What's going on?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of talk about it and a lot of talk about improving. Not only, you know, so there's a lot of the full customer journey, let's say, you know, it starts before when somebody just hears about a brand and, you know, what their experience is there, what it's like to actually buy the product. And then, you know, customer service is generally what happens when something goes wrong or there's additional questions. And I think what's been happening, you know, from an intellectual level, companies are starting to understand, okay, we need to tie all of those things together. Now, from a practical standpoint, what you're experiencing is not unique. A lot of people are experiencing this disconnect between, oh, wow, you know, it's like it was really great when I was about to buy the product. They were right there, timely with messages and all over the place. You know, if ads were following me all around the web and whatever. I buy the product, and where's the service, or, you know, what's the experience then? And so, you know, good brands, the ones that are talked about, well, you know, they've been tying these dots together for a while, but there's a lot to do. And, you know, in a Fortune 100 company, there's a lot of silos, there's a lot of teams and departments, and one hand is not talking to the other. And, you know, these are the kinds of companies I work with quite often. And it's not even for lack of good intention. It's, man, one person, they might as well be on another planet, you know, one department versus the other. And so trying to get them to say, well, why don't you talk with the person in X department? They're like, I don't know, I've never met them. I don't even know who they are, you know? And so you can imagine then us as customers, we're trying to buy and use these products, and we feel a disconnect. It's not our job to know an org chart, but, you know, we feel the disconnect.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here with a little station break. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. We'll resume here in a second. I'd like to invite you to come to my coaching, speaking, and training courses website. You can also see our new podcast over there at chrisvossleadershipinstitute.com. Over there, you can find all the different stuff that we do for speaking engagements if you'd like to hire me, training courses that we offer, and coaching for leadership, management, entrepreneurism, podcasting, corporate stuff. With over 35 years of experience in business and running companies as CEO, I think I can offer a wonderful breadth of information and knowledge to you, or anyone that you want to invite me to for your company. Thanks for tuning in. We certainly appreciate you listening to the show, and be sure to check out chrisvossleadershipinstitute.com. Now back to the show. Yeah. And you know, I mean, you look at, like, you know, big cable companies like Comcast, you know, it's so, I saw some TikTok videos that were really funny about it, but basically you'll call them and they'll be like, hi, we have you on hold, and you have a 2-hour wait time, but we care about your business. You're very important to us. Now listen to this 30-second loop of a music cut, that will drive you insane in the next half an hour because you'll
I've
be
heard
listening
that
to it
song.
over and over again. Yeah, like GoDaddy's the worst. I love GoDaddy, but they're the worst at it. It's like I've called them, and sometimes I'll just tell their agent, "Hey man, can you guys play the song? Change the song, man. It's been the same song for like 10 years, and it's like the same 1 minute repeat." They finally did a thing where you can press pound to stop the song. But yeah, I mean, I see so many, you know, with the marketing we do, I see so many Facebook pages that don't get responded to, like no one's manning them anymore. We were joking in the show about how people reach out to the Chris Voss Show for customer service on some of the products that we review. Part of that is because no one will answer them at the companies, you know,
Yeah.
and so they're actually, you know, people go to YouTube sometimes to figure stuff out, and they're using customer service. Like I used to tell our clients, like, you know, 10 years ago, I'm like, you really need to monitor, like, some of the products that we reviewed. You need to monitor some of the comments that you're getting, not only for feedback, but, you know, there's a lot of people that can't seem to find customer service. I've had PR agents that get calls from customers because they can't get the customer service agency to the company respond to them. And so they're calling the third party agency because they found the press thing on the website. This is how bad it's gotten.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I think that speaks to a few things. I mean, one, you know, I think there's been, with the whatever they call it today, but, you know, great resignation and all those kinds of things, there's been a lot of staff shortages that, you know, everything from, you know, trying to get a meal in a restaurant to, you know, the things that you're talking about, just shortage of staffing. I think the other thing is, the future of the customer experience means that brands have to be active on every channel that their customers want to be on. And that's a lot of channels. I mean, I think on average, one of the stats in my book is on average, someone uses between 5 and 6 channels during the sales process out of about 13 or 14 that are commonly used. And so, you know, think about that. Even a very large brand, you know, multi-billion-dollar company, they've got to be great on about 13 channels because in the hopes that someone is going to reach out and need something. And so inevitably someone is going to reach out on a channel that is, you know, maybe if they just would have gone on Twitter, they would have gotten an instant response or something, but maybe not anymore. But, you know, if, you know, they would have reached out on the right channel, you know, that would have happened. But they use the channel that they wanted to use because that's, you know, that's what we expect as customers. We expect wherever we are, whatever we're holding in our hands, we're going to get a response from the brands that we support.
So let me ask you this: is you know, I've always told everybody, hey, you need to take and be where your clients are. You can't just be on one platform. But you mentioned that 5 to 6 different. They're looking at 5 to 6 different platforms at a company. Is that research they're doing? Are they using that to validate them as a good company? Because, you know, you're like, hey, I don't know about this company. Let's validate them. Maybe see their reviews and stuff. Is that what they're doing? They're validating, or what are they up to?
Yeah, I mean, some of that, or some of it could be, you know, somebody's walking in a brick and mortar retail store, comparing prices online to the products they're looking at, and then they leave the store, go home and buy it on Amazon on their laptop. And so, you know, that's 3 channels in a very short, like, that's a very short anecdote, you know? So in other words, if they're doing research, if they're looking on social media for reviews or other things like that, you know, all of a sudden those channels add up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's, so yeah, you know, that brand needs to make sure that there's positive reviews on all of those places that they saw, that they have good in-store placement, you know, all of those kinds of things. So it's, you know, it's offline, it's online, it's all of the above. And yeah, you know, it's challenging for big brands, but it's really daunting for small brands.
Yeah, it's because they can't hire enough people, especially nowadays. I mean, that's kind of one of the I've kind of had to. Yeah, I was pissed off about customer service before. I considered writing a book about it. I don't know. Still, I'm leaving it to people like you to write the book. But I have some axes to grind. Let's put it that way. I thought it was bad before, and I'm wondering if it's going to get worse because it seems like anytime nowadays companies can hit a new low. You know, like one of the problems with COVID was I saw this with like Facebook and Twitter, where we had different accounts get to have issues and stuff. And we're like, We're like, hey man, we need this looked at. And they're like, oh, sorry, you get the auto back. Oh, sorry, right now everyone's kind of at home playing Minecraft, and we can't get to things because of COVID. And now the responses are still there. And you're like, COVID, I mean, it's not over, but it's largely over. We're not in lockdown anymore. So, some people have returned to work, and we were supposed to figure this remote work out by now. So, what the hell? And so now it's gotten worse. If I go in a restaurant or other places, I kind of have to bite my tongue a little bit, calm the jets a little bit. Don't go full Karen, because you realize that people are struggling, especially these middle size and very small companies, your restaurants and stuff like that. They're struggling. They have plastered notes on the door, please, I went into what was it? Five Guys Burgers the other day. They have like a whole table out there, like, please work for us. Here's the applications. Well, when they're taking your order, they're like, so what would you like, sir? I'll take a burger and fries. And then like, would you also like a job? Because we need somebody to cook the burger and fries for you right now.
Right.
That's a good joke. So, this is interesting. And then what was the other number you gave me? They need to be on 13 different channels.
Yeah. I mean, there's that's the universe of channels that are typically, out there. I mean, there's plenty more, I'm sure, but it's up to about 12 or 13 that are most typically used.
Mm-hmm. It's and part of it's validation, I think, isn't it? If you see that a company is, spread out doing their job, you can find them on LinkedIn, you can find out what people are saying. I mean, I'm a huge reader, especially on Amazon, man. I learned the hard way, man. And I learned the hard way too. You can't just look at the review graphs. Like, I almost bought a $400 reverse osmosis water thing yesterday, and I was ready to push the button because I was looking at that graph, and I'm like, 13% of those are really ugly 1-stars. You should go read them. And I'm like, no, I'm lazy. I'm sure it'll be fine. Push the button, Chris. And I'm like, no, Chris, you know this game. You've lost before. And I went and read the 1-stars. Holy mother of God. And then I went and read the 4-stars, and the same thing was happening. It just wasn't happening to the level people were really upset about it. And I'm like, or they just bought the product, and the 1-stars were the people who had the product for 4 to 6 months. The 4-stars are the people who I bought it.
They didn't own it long
enough. There's some issues, and their company's replacing it, and the second unit's not working either. And I'm like, oh man, I see what's going on. Yeah. So there you go. So what are some other tidbits in the book that we can tease out that you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to make a practical framework to set up, creating, building an organization around, designing and delivering these experiences. So I use the metaphor of a house. So, the roof is the processes and the systems that kind of govern everything. And, I kind of go through, there's pillars, and the foundation of all of this is really the culture of the company that is really centered around customers, and everybody in the company can see how their job and their role supports customers and, customer expectations and the customer experience. And I think from my work, I've done a bit of work in the HR and employee experience field as well. And, a huge part of keeping employees engaged is just making sure that they feel purpose in their job. And so one of the things that I say is, when customer experience and providing a great customer experience is part of the purpose of someone's job, it's motivation and reward for that individual. And so, it's kind of it has a nice flywheel effect in that, we need to motivate employees. Employees want purpose and motivation. Let's make the motivation doing great things for our customers, and then everybody wins, because those customers buy more, the employees keep their jobs. Everybody, even shareholders, are happy with that scenario.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because I've complained about the customer service and the non-responsiveness. One of the biggest things I hate is Zendesk. I hate Zendesk like a passion. When I see you pop back with that, you lose like so much standing with me as a company. And it's usually a response to like, we have, is it Zendesk? And yeah, I think it is. Companies like that, and you get an auto response back, and it says, "Hi, thanks for your email. We really care about you as a customer and your customer service. We usually get back to you within 3 days." 3 days.
Yeah.
And if you need something more immediately, we have this forum over here that will not search any of the questions or problems that you have.
Yeah.
You can go spend hours going through this when really you could just be on the phone with one of our customer service agents for 5 freaking minutes to resolve your problem. But we'd rather have you go spend hours doing that. Like, I hate that. Like, I would never hire that thing. And I'm sorry, I might lose Zencastr as an advertiser, but I don't care. It's just awful. Do it internally. Have people that work for your company. And I love the idea that you have of making it, I don't know if you use the word game, but making it fun to help customers. And the funny thing is about all the stuff that I've complained about so far in the show, which is getting to be a pile and we've talked about, is I know these customers, these CEOs and these boards are sitting around at their office going, we need to have more sales. Like, why aren't we selling more? We're not making enough money and we need to figure out how to sell. Hey, well, maybe you should answer the Facebook page.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think that's where this whole idea of a cultural shift in companies really is. We're so driven, or companies are so driven by short-term sales, and let's just get new customers in the door, and we'll work it out in the end. And sure enough, their customers are getting messages like the one you just said, where we'll get back to you in 72 hours or whatever. One of the other things that I talk about in the book is I lay out kind of a series of goals for companies that are not necessarily immediately achievable, but it's kind of called North Star goals. Like that's where we're headed. We're not going to get there tomorrow. We know we're not going to get there tomorrow, but we've got to have something guiding what we do. And so one of those is really moving to this idea of just embracing this idea of customer lifetime value. So it's, anybody in sales, we all know, loss leaders and things like that. Sometimes you got to get people in the door to, and you lose a little bit of money on them. This is sure that's a part of this, but this is really thinking about and embracing this idea that, yes, a loyal customer for life, they're going to buy more, they're going to buy more often, they're going to recommend their friends. I mean, I'm the brands that I'm loyal to, I am very loyal to, a handful of brands because sometimes I just like points, I guess, but also, they treat me well. I've been buying from them long enough, and, I feel that, and, they're getting customer lifetime value out of people like me versus maybe the first 30 days, I wasn't making them a ton of money, but 5-10 years in, that's a money maker. It's a lot easier to keep me than it is to win a brand new customer.
Yeah. And that old paradigm of how much it costs to retain a customer versus getting a new one. Right. I don't remember what the numbers are. I remember hearing about it.
It's a big difference. Yeah.
It's huge. And let me ask you this, because this is a big question I always have. Is this a generational problem? Because we went from a generation that was very demanding, with Gen X, my generation, we grew up with, In Search of Excellence and Tom Peters and the whole Nordstrom, if you return a tire story that they'll take the return, and exemplary award-winning sort of customer service stories and expectations. And then it seems like maybe millennials don't care as much, or when they're working, they don't care as much for customer service. And then Gen Z seems like even more, it's just doesn't really care much. It's just, it does what it wants, and it's going to buy a lot electronically. So maybe there's not a lot of customer service there except when it breaks. I don't know. Is there a generational thing to it where we're losing this over generations of workers and people that don't care as much for customer service?
So it's, I think there's a number of things that are compounding. I mean, I think, I'm a Gen Xer too. So like, the millennials, I can talk shit about, millennials and Gen Z, I guess, but, sorry, I don't know if I can swear or not. So sorry, but
you can swear. It's just, you want to keep it down because of YouTube. They'll put it in the back of the catalog.
No worries. But I think millennials and Gen Z just have a different relationship to work. And, as a Gen Xer, I was taught a hard work ethic and all that stuff. And so, I take that stuff very seriously. I think it's just a different mindset and a different relationship between personal time, work time, and, work-life balance, whatever term you want to call it. So I think there's that. I think the other part of it is, I grew up in a world where, part of my life there was no internet, and there were 3 channels on TV and whatever. And we're running into a lot of people in the workplace that they grew up with the internet, and even if it was very early in their life when the internet became a thing, it's they have grown up with nothing but choice and immediate gratification on all of these things. And so I think there's different expectations on what I get when and how, and they don't want to talk on the phone. They want to do everything online, and their job is not necessarily defining them like it might people in other generations. And so you get all of those things, and the worst of it, I think, is a lot of unengaged people on the job that don't really care, to your point. And I think there can be good out of it as well, but I think we do tend to see a lot of the worst come out when we're trying to get some customer service.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if maybe they just figure, screw it, I'm just going to hop around. Like maybe I wonder what the numbers are between Gen X hopping around and just not being brand loyal. I think millennials and Gen Zs are less brand loyal, and they'll just say screw it. I'll just go with somebody who talks to me and I'm better brand loyal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, and same with their jobs too. I mean, gone are the days of pensions and staying at a company more than 5 years, right? So it's like that's when you look at that from the customer experience standpoint, the employees, it's like they're going to be there like 12 months and hop to another job because they can, and they've been incentivized to do that. The only way to get a raise these days is to move companies. So it's I can feel for that. At the same time, I'm also a customer that's frustrated with lack of service. So it's a tough one.
Yeah, and you look at like companies like Twitter's a good example right now because so many people left. My feed's like a mess. I get notifications that are a mess. Like I get notifications from stuff I don't even follow. I'm like, why? And it seems like every worst person's buying ads there now because they're really cheap. And so I'm seeing a lot of just nasty stuff. Like I think I got an OnlyFans notification on my email from my list of people I follow. I'm like, why is that there? Yeah. And I'm like, did I follow that when I was like, I don't know, drunk in the middle of the night or something? Right. And I 2 or 3 times now these have come across and I've clicked on them. They're not sponsored ads, so they're not coming through that way. But I don't follow them, and I'm like, why am I getting this when I don't? It's not there. But yeah, the whole thing's a mess, and I've sent notices for some account issues into Twitter, and like no one's even answering. And so yet they're like, hey, advertisers, come trust us and stuff.
Right.
Let's move on to your book. We want people to pick that up, of course, on the web. House of Customer, a blueprint for one-to-one customer first employee-driven business transformation. And check out his other books that Greg has done, the Total 11. Let's talk about what you do as your customer service. Get a plug-in for your podcast as well.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, the podcast is called The Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom. I'm about to start year 5. So I've been doing it for a few years. Yeah. A little over 300 episodes. So looking forward to new year of guests. And I talk with marketing leaders, so primarily larger like Fortune 500 brands, as well as marketing leaders from like marketing technology platforms and things like that, and just have a dialogue, much like the stuff in my book. Have conversations about that, and it just I think it's so fun for just to do it myself, and I get to have 150 conversations a year with really smart people smarter than me about all this stuff. And I learned so much, and I hope the listeners learn as much as well.
There you go. And also plug for your show. I'll be on Friday in a few more days. Yeah. I'll be on your show. I won't be one of the cool, smart people, but I'll dumb down your show probably quite a bit, but I'll be funny. And that's how I make up for being stupid. All my audience right now is going, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Listen to the funny boy, but he's an idiot. Anyway, guys, let's talk about what you do at your company there. Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom. You do consulting, speaking, you have an academy. Let's talk a little about some of what you do for companies and companies that might be listening, how they can reach out to you and work with you.
Yeah. So I do a few things. So I do speaking and workshops and training under the Agile Brand, and so that's things related to marketing technology, customer experience, digital transformation. So I work with companies, whether that's really giving a high level overview to teams, or actually do hands-on exercises and workshops to really, get in the weeds and prioritize efforts and things like that. I also do consulting through a company called GK5A, and that is me as an advisor or consultant to companies, in the Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 space on, the same types of topics. And, a lot of times I'll be part of a team that works to solve some of these problems. Sometimes I'll work as an advisor to a CMO or, SVP of marketing or something like that, just as they're trying to figure out the steps ahead and really guide a lot of teams into doing some big transformation efforts.
There you go. Anything more we need to touch on with what you do in consulting? And I imagine, are the thrusts of most of your 11 books, are they about customer service, or give us kind of an overview on some of the things you talk about?
I write about what I learn in my work, and I also write in order to learn more. So, I do research to write the books, but I also write about my firsthand experience and, some of the challenges that I run into. And, they're really for anybody in the marketing or customer experience field. But a lot of the companies that I work with, they're larger companies. So I talk about some of the challenges that just exist within, big brands that we all know and buy products from, but, they have their own unique set of challenges. I've been an entrepreneur. I've started a couple companies. I've done startups. So I know what it's like to have a 1 to 50 person company as well. But a lot of the work that I do now as a consultant is really for the larger ones.
There you go. I think I'm going to start a speaking tour, and it's going to be called Fuck Zendesk. I'm going to do a TED talk on that. I mean, I'm sure they're a nice company with wonderful people, but that and chatbots, I have a big, I want to find everybody who sold companies to do chatbots. I want to find a way to hit them over the head. So just in a literal sense, not in a violence form, unless I meet them personally. No, I'm just kidding. Those are jokes, people. We're just doing jokes on the show. Don't write me. But no, the chatbots are the worst, because the chatbots many times just run you in circles. In the end, it's like, hi, the chatbot just ran you in circles for about a half an hour with idiot questions. And in the end, we're just going to respond to you by email. So just respond to me by email.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's really frustrating. I think there's a lot of potential in that space, but I'm like you. I've been, I've gotten the runaround several times, and just inevitably, how do I just send someone an email? If you just would have let me know that. It's like the call tree things when you call your bank or whatever. It's just like, I just know I hit pound. Like I don't even. And sometimes it works, sometimes it's a different button, but I don't even listen to anything. I just like, get me to customer service, because whatever your options are, they're never going to solve the question that I have. Yeah. I can check my balance on my phone. I don't need to call into a phone to check my balance. Like when I call in, I really need a problem, because I don't like talking to people on the phone.
That's the other thing I hate. When they go, have you tried our app? Our app can get to you sooner. And you're like, yeah, I've looked at your app. It's a piece of garbage. I can't find anything what I need there. And that's why I'm calling you, because your app doesn't work. And they're like, meanwhile, go to our app. Just like everything sends the message that like, F you, we don't have time for you. We don't want you. And then even worse, they'll tell you, I still care about you. It's kind of like my first 7 marriages. And just basically like, I kind of love you. Just keep the money rolling. And I don't want anything else to do with you. That's basically the first 7 marriages.
I know what you mean.
7 or 8. I can't keep track anymore. I think we're on the 9th. I don't know what that means. Anyway, that's a joke, people. I've been single. I'm never a nerd. But anything more we want to tease out or touch on? I see a lot of your books are based on customer service, how companies can develop better processes on stuff. And man, I need to catch up with you. It took me 54 years to write my first book, and at this pace, I'll be 102 when the second one comes out.
Never too late to. Like I said, I write so I can learn more, and so I feel like it's part of my job really to do this stuff. So I love doing it. There's a lot of people that don't love doing it, and I think there's a lot of ways to share knowledge. But
there you go. Evidently, I can't do math either. It would be 108. But I don't know. We're doing the show, man. There's a lot going on here, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't blame me. I went to public school. Everyone knows that. So anyway, thank you for coming on the show, Greg. We really appreciate it, man. It's been very insightful. And yeah, let's start a new customer service revolution. Damn it, I want one, man. I've got my pitchfork and I've got my torches ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to go, man. Like I'm over it. And companies need to get it. Like you see all these companies going, we're trying to figure out how to make more money, and the bottom line, Gary's the bottom line, and how to make these workers more productive. We're seeing a lot of layoffs going on because people are like, well, we don't have enough revenue. What was interesting was back in the day when IBM, I think, hit its first recession or its first downturn of revenue, one of the ways they kept from laying off employees, they turned everybody into a salesman and retained them. And that's how they drove up sales and saved the company or pulled it out of the recession. I don't remember what the story was back in the day, but just by doing that, increasing the bottom line, like here's an idea. Maybe don't lay off all those employees. Maybe put them on customer service.
Right.
Maybe take them off that Zendesk thing and move it from 3 days to like now.
Yeah. I know.
I mean,
With that many more people, they probably could.
Yeah, there's the money right there. One of the things that we found is we deal with a lot of PR agents, and we do a lot of shows and CS show and South by Southwest, NAB show, and we do all these shows. And for decades, we work with in a lot of our review products. We do reviews of tech products. We work with PR agents, and one thing that seems to have happened, near as I can tell, over COVID is all the companies said, well, fuck it, we're cutting that overhead of PR agents. And so they've taken some guy who runs, who's doing who's some employee who's doing, warehousing job, running the forklift. And now he's over marketing a customer service and pretending to try and be a PR agent. He doesn't understand anything of what we're doing. And like, why do we need to send you a product to review? And like, this just seems expensive.
Right.
You're just like, do you understand this is a write-off? Like there's a TikTok joke here somewhere, a meme, but what's a write-off? It's where you're covering this, you write people off. No, but it's like a write-off, and you're not sending us the retail product for cost. You're sending us, the $300 product you spent $50 in China to make. Yeah. So you're out $50 and you're writing it off. But do you understand the marketing concept? Like, the marketing conversation I have with these people are just insane. And I'm like, you really need to go get your PR agent back because they know what's going on. And this is the reason you don't have sales, is because Forklift Jack is running marketing.
Right. Yeah. Marketing is always the first thing to get cut, when there's a downturn, and it's
so the last place you should cut. The last place you should cut. Like anytime we had to do cut downs, I was like, touch it, fire me first. Right. Yeah, like take my salary. Don't cut sales, man. Don't cut sales. You slit your own throat. That's what you're doing. So this has been a really important discussion, and hopefully a lot of people right now are ashamed about having their chat bots and their Zendesk. But customer service is still a human to human thing. Like I have people that will write me back and they'll be like, is this a bot? Because this sounds like the CEO. I'm like, no, it's actually a customer. It's actually me, because I give a shit. Yeah. And I care. What? This doesn't happen. Yeah, it does. It does with my company. So, I give a damn. Wow, that's weird. Yeah, well, welcome to my world. I'm a Gen Xer. I come from Tom Peters, in search of excellence. I want to make you happy. I want to keep you as a customer, because getting a new customer, especially in a digital world, is even harder, I think, because there's so much competition, especially with, the online ads you have and everything else. So there you go. Yeah. Well, it's been wonderful having the show, Greg. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs, please.
Yeah, sure. It's gregkihlstrom.com. You can find everything there. And my consulting is gk5a.com as well.
There you go. Check him out, guys, online. Follow him on all the different social media platforms there. His 13 platforms or wherever he's on social media. House of the Customer, a blueprint for one-to-one customer first, employee-driven business transformation. I love the idea and concept. You can order the book now for pre-sale, available, I think December 11th, 2022. We'll ship out to you. You can get this as a nice Christmas gift too. It's right before the holiday, so order it for a Christmas gift. Get your customer service fixed right. It's 2023. We're going to make a lot of money next year, knock on wood. hopefully, but it's looking that way. We're finally out of this whole COVID thing. So we're supposed to be, knock on wood, some more. There's a lot of knocking for that one. And people are like, why is there knocking going on the show? What's going on with the mic? But check that out as well, guys. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Guilt trip them, make them, shame them, or guilt trip them into subscribing to the show. You're like, you'd be a whole lot smarter and I could put up with you and I might be more interested in the bedroom with you if you would subscribe to the Chris Voss Show and also pick up your socks and underwear, guys. Anyway, that's just a joke, people, but your wife did send me that on Snapchat. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss and LinkedIn.com Chris Voss. Whatever the hell it is, what's going on LinkedIn. And tell your wife to quit sending me stuff on Snapchat. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for putting up with the Snapchat callback joke this episode. What the fuck? It's different every time. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you next time if we do another one. We've only been doing it for 13 years. But yeah, there's a whole lot more. And see me on Greg's show as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be funny, man. I'm going to make him laugh so hard. He's going to be like, why did I bring this idiot on? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye-bye. Whatever.